Algebra 1 students, welcome back. Sorry my voice is still pretty rough, but I think we'll be able to make it through this together. This is 5.4, point slope form of a line. We've already looked at slope intercept form previously. Point slope is actually, this may seem weird to you, but it's actually my favorite way to find linear equations. I think it's the way that makes the most sense once you're comfortable with it. It's really simple, as the name would suggest. For you to graph something in point slope form, you need to know two things: a point and, well, the slope. And the point, we call it x1 comma y1. As you can see here, the slope is just simply the letter m, and so it goes into the form y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. That's the starting point. Sometimes we leave it like that, sometimes we can change it. Now again, it might help to practice when you see problems like these on the next slide. At least initially, practice writing this down: m times x minus x sub 1. Our instructions are to write the linear equation in point slope form with the given point and slope. Now, the point for -7 represents x1 comma y1. M is 4, that's the slope. So really at this point all we have to do is plug in values. Y minus a negative, I'm just going to write it as plus 7, equals 4 times x minus, and x sub 1 is 4. And you're done. Let's try another one. This one goes through the point 0 and 5. So we'll have y minus 5 equals, our m value is -1/3 times x minus 0. Now I think a lot of you realize that x minus 0 seems kind of silly, so if you prefer, you could write it this way: y minus 5 equals -1/3 x, and that would be just fine. I'm going to pause the video here, give it a shot on the next two problems. Okay, you can see my work on 3 and 4. I guess actually it's just answers. There's not a lot of work on these. The one thing to note on number 4, notice I gave two possibilities. Either of those answers would be acceptable since 0 isn't making any changes to the left side of the equation. All right, now we're going to work a little bit different direction with this. Let's graph the line. Now, one of the beauties of point slope, and I think some people overlook this, is that we can actually graph directly from point slope form. Because what we know is this: we know that the given equation here has a slope of -4/3, and we also know that the graph passes through the point x1 comma y1, which in this case is 2, and then the y value comes from right here, -3. You'll note that I changed the sign on both of these. This said x minus 2, and I wrote x is positive 2 here. It's y plus 3. I wrote y is -3. The reason behind that is that the form is y minus y sub 1 and x minus x sub 1. Therefore, there's a change in sign every time. All right, so to graph this, I'm going to just graph my point to -3 right here. And then I can apply the slope. It's a -4/3, so I'll go up 4 and left 3. Or perhaps you're more comfortable going down 4 and right 3. But either way, we get the same line. And I'll quickly sketch that. It'll look something like you see here. That's all there is to it. The key, though, is, of course, to be able to pick out the point and the slope from the equation. Why don't you guys try doing that on number 6? So pause the video and do number 6, and then compare your answer to mine. Okay, you can see my answer here. We knew the point was -4 and 5. I plotted that. That's this point right there. And then I applied the slope by going up 1 and right 3. All right, continuing on. This time we're going to work backwards. On number 7, the instructions are to write the equation in point slope form. Now this is kind of interesting because really all that I need for point slope form is to have, well, as you would expect, one point and the slope. So I'm going to look at that point right there, and it looks like I have a point up here. Now I'm going to use these 2 points to calculate my slope. So it looks to me like on number 7, my slope is 5/3. The other thing we need to do is pick one of those 2 points. I'm going to choose this point right here, and I'm going to use it. That's the point -3, -2, to plug into the point slope form. Now these problems are looking just like what we had at the first few questions. So again, just find a point, any point on the line, preferably an integer, and then find the slope and plug it in. So y minus -2, which we would write as +2, is equal to 5/3 times x minus -3, which again we'd write as +3. Again, go ahead and pause the video, do number 8, that's the red line you see there, and hit play when you're finished with it. Okay, you can see my work on number 8. I picked the 2 points that you can see marked here on the graph. One thing I did realize here, my slope was -4/2, or 4 over -2 if you prefer, but either way that simplifies to -2, so I need to make sure and get the simplest form of that slope. And then I just plugged in the point 0, -3. Again, I could have chosen the other point. It looks like it's 4, -5. That would work too. And again, I have this -0 here. That, of course, is optional. You could just leave that as an x and ignore the 0. All right, on the next set of questions, still dealing with point slope, but this time we're given 2 points. Now, again, when it's point slope form, we need a point, we have 2 of those, and a slope. So we're going to have to do a little calculating first. So my slope is 0 minus -2 divided by 2 minus 4, which would be 2 over -2, or just simply -1. Now I'm going to choose the second point, 0 and 2, and plug it in like this. Y minus 0 equals -1 times x minus 2. We could have chosen either point in this scenario. We'd get to the same place. I like zeros though because they make things simpler. Y minus 0 is y. Then -x plus 2. What I'm doing there, of course, is distributing that -1 to both terms, and we are now in slope-intercept form. I think I skipped verbalizing these instructions, but once we were in point slope, which is what we have right here, they wanted us to convert or to write it in slope-intercept form, which is there. We've got both. All right, same instructions on number 10. We need to start by finding the slope. 6 minus 1 divided by -3 minus -7. I'll just write that as +7. So that's 5/4. I'm going to choose the first point, -7 and 1. Again, it doesn't really matter which one you choose. So y minus 1 equals 5/4 times x plus 7. Now I know you guys all love fractions, and this is going to be your chance to practice working with them a little bit. So right here we have our point slope form. But we need to go ahead and distribute that 5/4. That would be 5/4 x, and 5/4 times 7 is 35/4. And I need to get y by itself to be in point slope form, so I'm going to add 1. Now a way we could add 1 to 35/4 is to think of 1 as 4/4. So y then would be 5/4 x plus 39/4. And there's our slope-intercept form. Alright, why don't you guys pause the video and try this next one on your own. Okay, I'm back and here's my work. You can see I found a slope of 3 and I plugged that in to find the point slope, which is right here. Y minus 3 equals 3 times x minus 5. Now I probably should point out you could have chosen the other point in this scenario and done y plus 3 equals 3 times x minus 3. That would be the exact same thing, and if you used that point instead, you would distribute, and after you subtract 3 from each side, amazingly enough, you would get the exact same answer. So again, point slope, you can choose your point, and some of them will look different but still be right. Once you get to slope intercept, they're going to be the same. The last problem we're going to look at is an application problem using these same concepts we've been studying. Now it says a family membership at the local gym is a linear relationship. That's key for us, and it gives us the amount the Smiths paid for 4 months and the amount the Collins paid for 9 months. What we have to do is think of these as two ordered pairs. For the Smith family, it's the point 4 and 290. For the Collins family, it's 9 and 590. And what I'm going to do at this point is again find the slope. So the slope is 590 minus 290 divided by 9 minus 4, which is 300 over 5, or simply 60. That represents our slope. Now, we're going to go ahead and plug this in to our point slope form. Although you should note that it does say C and M to represent the situation. I'm going to go ahead and use X's and Y's, and then maybe at the last step we can change it just to avoid any confusion. So Y minus 290 equals our slope, which is 60, times X minus 4. Let's go ahead and simplify. Now this problem doesn't tell us if we have to write it in slope intercept or point slope. It's not specific. But what I know is slope intercept is usually a little bit easier to work with once we get going. So there's my slope intercept form, and again, let's change the variables to match what they're looking for. So cost is equal to 60 times the number of months plus 50. All right, membership for 1 year. This is the last question, the follow-up here. 1 year is, of course, 12 months. So we would just do 60 times 12 plus 50. That's 720 plus 50, or finally $770. I hope this lesson has helped you, and I hope my voice gets better so I'll sound a little better on the next go-round. We'll see you in class.